covering the Northern Bahamas? You're watching the Bahamas Tonight, Northern Edition.
Welcome back. He is considered a stalwart in Grand Key. Some even call him the mayor because of his dedication to the growth and development of that community. He's currently serving as the chief counselor, and having served in local government since 1996, he says this is his final term. Jamila Mizik has his story.
Prominent Grand Key businessman Roosevelt Rosie Curry is the owner of Island Bayfront Company Limited. Born and raised on the Abaco Key, the 67-year-old resident says home is where the heart is, and that is why he was always interested in developing the small town.
Growing up in Grand Key was just a small fishing village. I went to school in Foxtown. That's where I got my education, and then I moved back home. I went to Grand Bahama to work in Choctaw from 1969 to 72, and then I came back home, get married, and this is where I've been ever since. I will always like being home. There's a lot of people who ask me about doing something abroad, and I said no, home is where I wanted to plant my base, and that's what I've been doing.
The businessman says Grand Key is holding its own and the local economy is good. It's a fishing village with no major hotels or airport, but he believes once local government continues to play its role, the economy will continue to grow. The chief counselor, who's been a part of local government from its inception, says it's now time to make room for others.
I believe that I'm one of the only original since local government was formed. And I figured it's now time for me to step aside and move on. I think I've did my fair share, and it's now time for me to lift it up and have someone else to take that role. But there again, this is home, and I do not intend to leave and not support. I'm hoping that I can still continue some support. But local government has been my backbone, and I did everything that I possibly can to make it a success. And anyone who can tell you, any administrator who's been here, tell you that I have made it a success.
He says younger Grand Key residents have a role to play in the further development and overall betterment of the town, and this is through the success of local government.
The local government is sort of closer to the people when it's best, because we cannot expect central government to continue to carry the role. We must take our own responsibility and try to help to build on this foundation. And once they do that, and we can't be a one-sided. You gotta be local government for all.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
Now to the third installment in our series, Defying the Odds. Tonight, Shoshana Roll Farquharson has the story of a woman who fell prey to the very thing that she was fighting against. For her, this challenge was not a game, and despite the adversities, she's happy to say that she's on the winning side. Here's that story.
Paulette Bowe is a psychiatric-trained nurse and a gambling addiction specialist at the awareness program at Sandlands Rehabilitation Center in Nassau. But she says while talking to others about their addiction, she was struggling with her own. She says gambling first gave her a big win and a big thrill.
But by the time I discovered, I was too deep in. And it happens just like that, and you don't even know when it happens. It's a thrill. It's a thrill that you want to get. When you didn't get that, you're just looking for it. And nothing else can take the place.
She says this addiction soon moved her in a state of isolation and created a problem with her family.
I didn't want to do it like with family members and different events and stuff that they know that I frequent. I was just spaced out because what happened is I consumed most of my finances. I was literally broke. My salary was all saturated. And of course, they didn't trust me. So even when I had legitimate problems and situations, they felt, because they found out that I only wanted the money to gamble.
And friends quickly became strangers.
I had my friends at the casino, And when they discovered too that I was not in a position to manage, you know what I mean, to support my habit, they weren't too particular, because I could tell you when you're in those casinos, you don't really want to be bothered. So I really was alone, and I couldn't pay the bills. I couldn't take care of my children, as well as I should. I was just embarrassed. In church, women's ministry president, and just living a lie, and just couldn't deal with it. I didn't care, because the addiction it was so overwhelming. I can't think of anything other than sort of dealing with the addiction.
Bo says she also realized that this addiction wasn't new to her family.
My father he gambled morning, day, and night. He went for days, and we didn't see him until when he came back broke, and angry. So that was one of the factors I know that led, I'm sure, to maybe where I am now, or where I was at that time, because I'm fully delivered. And I had a lot of stresses in my life. Coping was my problem. So I sort of escaped to gambling.
But she says after 12 years, the right support finally came, and that's how she was able to defy the odds.
So I had loved ones who really cared about me. I had a pastor who really reached out to me and not just helped me spiritually, saying he's going to pray for me, but he actually assisted me financially to get back on track, because I really was down and out. So that is very important with persons with addiction, especially gambling, because their financial resources is usually gone. And I'm 8 years now since I've gambled, and I don't even have the urge to gamble. So if I did it, you can do it. Anybody can do it. God can do anything but fail.
Shashina Wolf-Arkeson, ZNS Network News.
And now it is time to ask the doctor.
This is Ask the Doctor. Welcome. Julian from Freeport asked, how is conch poisoning different from regular food poisoning? Is it really worse? Julian, thank you for asking a great question that I'm sure will pique the interest of so many other conch lovers. Food poisoning is a broad term that refers to illness caused by eating contaminated food. Infectious organisms, including bacteria, viruses, and parasites, or their toxins, are the most common causes of food poisoning. Conch poisoning refers to the contamination of raw conch with a specific bacteria called Vibrio parahemolyticus, which lives in seawater. In most cases, the symptoms of food poisoning can begin within a few hours of eating contaminated foods. This is also the case with conch poisoning, where symptoms include watery diarrhea, abdominal cramping, nausea, vomiting, fever and chills begin within 24 hours after eating contaminated conch and last for about 3 to 4 days. Conch poisoning can be prevented by cleaning the conch we consume with clean, fresh water, because seawater does not remove the bacteria. Cooking also kills the bacteria. So if you suspect that you're experiencing conch poisoning, please visit your local clinic or emergency room immediately. I'm Dr. Monique Pratt, and this has been Ask the Doctor.
Stay with us. Sports is next with Romiko Knowles.
This hurricane season, solve your electrical needs Bahamas with alternative energy to lower electric billing. Call Solar Bahamas 454-2354 in Nassau or 373-6706 in Freeport.